Welcome, Amcorners, to PodLIVE, Inside on Site. Here, a live podcast recorded at American Corner, Yogyakarta. I am Abdillah Gibran Bayhaki. Please call me Gibran. A volunteer at American Corner, Yogyakarta. And I am also a student from the International Policy and Law on Sharia program of Law and Sharia from Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. And today we have a very special guest straight out of the embassy of US in Jakarta, Mr. Anup Mahajan. Please introduce yourself to the audience.
Introduce myself. Hi, Anup Mahajan, Regional Public Engagement Specialist. That's a lot of words. It's more of a title for American Officer Diplomat. I'm based in the U.S. Embassy in Jakarta, and I have the pleasure and honor of overseeing all of the American spaces, including all the American corners in Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysia, and Timor-Leste.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So does it feel to, have control over a lot of regions in Asia?
Tiring.
Well, of course.
I'm in a car, on a plane, often, I'm always traveling.
Yeah.
But I think no matter how tiring it is actually really inspiring because I get to meet
a lot of people from a lot of
people from a lot of different regions and a lot of passionate people like you and our volunteers. You guys are amazing for what you do, and the energy you bring to our corners. You make the spaces come alive, right?
That's amazing.
And so that's the thing that I really want to say is thank you also. And that's what gives me so much energy in my job.
And in the topic of volunteering, today we are actually going to talk about volunteerism and what it means and why is it so important for us, especially the new generations, to get into volunteering.
Yeah.
Especially we in American Corner Yogyakarta, we are also volunteers, and we want to know about especially what volunteering truly is, and from the U.S. Embassy's views, what is volunteering supposed to be?
Yeah. That's a great question, and I know we're short on time, so I'll be quick here. Is volunteering, so this is my personal experience and also from the U.S. Perspective as well. Volunteering means you're putting yourself in new situations and new environments to push yourself, right? And so when I think about volunteering that I've done in my life, it's always been at periods where I was like, you know what? I'm going to try out this skill. I'm interested in X or Y or Z. And, maybe I don't know. I can't commit to maybe getting a job yet, but let me see what I can learn.
Let's just
from
try
that.
it out first,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's being bold and it's taking ownership of your future.
Yes.
That's what volunteering is.
Because mostly, especially in the current generation, there's a lot of students. This is also true in Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta.
Yeah.
A lot of students here are feeling they feel lost.
That's right.
They don't know what they don't know what direction they're going to in the future,
Exactly.
right? And that's Do you think it's very important for them to try volunteering?
Totally. Because you know what? And like I say too, is you have to embrace failure. A career journey it's not always going to be a series of all the right steps. There's going to be wrong steps, or there's going to be steps where you're like, I don't know why I made that step. I don't know why I did that. And that's what volunteering is. It allows you that space to experiment, right? Because if you always do what's right or what's expected, your career journey is going to take a very different turn. But you will never know. You'll never find out what skills you had
There are
you had
special
done that.
opportunities that can open up.
So my advice is just go for it.
Try it out.
Try it out. Even if it sounds different.
Of course, you have tried volunteering in the past, right, Anup? We are very curious about your personal experience in volunteering. And what is your favorite moment? Or let's say, what's your favorite volunteering moment in your past time?
Wow. Okay. So I'm a lot older than I look, so I'm going to have to think here for a second. Okay. So I always go back to my first volunteering experience, before I never would have predicted. I never would have thought in my wildest dreams that I would be representing my own country, right? I had no idea that I would be doing the career that I have
So far
today,
away
right?
from
So far away from what I knew when I was your age or even younger, right? So with that in mind, when I was about a little bit younger than all of you, I thought I was going to be a doctor, right? Like every good Indian, I was like, okay, I'm going to be a doctor. My
like your
parents are going to be
told
proud
you,
of me. Yeah. And I liked science and I liked math and all those things, but I was told to like that, right? And I happened to be good at it. So my first volunteer experience was actually volunteering in a hospital. in
Oh,
where I grew up, and I was in senior year in high school, entering college, and I was like, you know what, if I'm really gonna like become a doctor, let me like go volunteer. So I
yeah,
was
try it out.
yeah, and I'm a people person, and so I like to be able to chat and talk. I like that far more than the medical aspects, I realized, because I got in trouble for talking too much. I was in the I was in the I they put me in the emergency room, which is like the most serious place to
Yeah,
be a volunteer. I was like, I'm 16. What am I going to do here? But I helped, but I didn't. I realized, and this is going to sound kind of crazy, is I saw a lot of like blood and things and
yeah, of
whatever, and I was
course.
like, ooh, this is not for me. And so that was my first experience, right? And I kind of knew in my head, I was like, ooh, if I don't like this now, like I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
And but then a positive experience was before I graduated college, undergrad, I volunteered overseas so one of my majors, I had a double major, but one of my majors was economics. And
of course.
so I really enjoyed economics and finance and those things. And that was actually a previous career of mine before I became a
Really?
diplomat. And so my but what gave me the confidence to pursue that career was working overseas in development. And so I lived abroad, and I worked and really did worked on like United Nations projects and
That's awesome.
worked for Plan International. So that gave me the hands-on experience.
Yeah, it was a major experience, especially in
Major experience.
international
Yes.
organizations.
Yes.
Uh, uh, and talking about, especially in this modern age,
Mm-hmm.
right? Especially new generations, they are very different from the previous ones because we are more technologically
Yes.
apt,
Yes.
right? We want to know that how should we, in terms of volunteering, how
Mm-hmm.
can we utilize technology maximally to our maximum potential in terms of technology, especially in the field of volunteering? Because a lot of us, especially the new generations,
Yeah.
we are more inclined to be in front of a screen rather
Yes.
than
Right.
doing a hands-on
Right.
experience, right?
Right. Right.
Well,
Right.
how can we adapt this into volunteering?
That is a great question. I think if you want to talk about, so you have so much information at your fingertips that I didn't have at your age, right? I had to physically go to a library or go to like a
Find
place that had
posters.
books and posters and ads in the newspaper, and I had to like look at things, right? And back then that was what we always did, right? But so I didn't see it as a challenge. It was just what we did. But your world, you have so many things at your fingers. So use that to your advantage. Always look for opportunities. But the other thing I would say is the relationship of technology with your actual experiences is you always want to think about, you're growing up in a world where jobs are changing. Traditional jobs are
True.
being are differing now because of the infusion of AI and technology. So the one thing I'll tell you though is that what's not going to change is the critical element of it, right? The brain that you have is the most powerful thing in the world, right? And no computer, no AI, nothing can like replace that. And so I say that because look for jobs and look for opportunities where you have to provide your skills as a human, right? Your skills in communication, your skills in leadership, your skills in problem solving to complement whatever the technology and technical skill is. Does that make sense?
That makes so much
Mm-hmm.
sense. Of course, we as humans, we have a lot of advantages over
Mm-hmm.
technology,
Mm-hmm.
especially like you
Yeah.
said, critical thinking, right?
Yeah.
Well, in terms of critical thinking, of course, there are generations, there are people, children and students especially, who does not yet realize their own potential.
Right.
Es-
Right.
Uh, can volunteering be an opportunity to realize this?
Yeah, totally, totally. Going back to my first point,
Yeah,
which is experimenting, right? And so I think, technology can help you. The way I see it is, in my own day-to-day job,
of
right?
course.
Like as a diplomat, right? I would never have thought that I would be using AI as much as I do, right? Because I'm in the people to people business, right? My
Yes,
job at the end of the day is
it's
to
talking to people.
represent the United States by talking to people and
Yes,
engaging in dialogue. But yet, in my day-to-day job in the office, I'm using AI, right? So I say that because it's I've had to embrace the technology, but I've also had to, and there's a way that I could embrace the entire technology, which then which would then kind of like render me obsolete, right? Then what's
of
the use
course.
for me, right? So because I'm always questioning what I'm getting from my technology. So I'm using the AI and the technology to help me consider other perspectives that I necessarily wouldn't, right?
Yes.
Or to break down large amounts of like data that I need to like, I
You,
need to
you sort it out.
crystallize
There's a lot
before
of
I give a
things.
talk or
Yes.
something. So I'm using it in ways that it helps me do how I want to do my job better as a noob. So same thing for young people out there, you're going to have your passion and you have your a general idea of what kind of jobs, or maybe you don't, but like you have an idea of where you want your career to go. Think about how the enormous amount of technology that is available to you can help you as a human be a better leader in that
Yes.
job.
We all need to try it out, right?
Try it out.
A lot of opportunities can open up, as you said earlier in
Yep.
your first statement.
Yep.
So, uh, there's one thing that we need to know from you. This is very
Oh,
important, and this might be life
oh
changing for
boy,
us all.
pressure. Okay. All right. Let me
Not to
get
put
ready for
pressure on
this.
you,
Okay. All right.
not too much pressure, but
Okay.
what is your main suggestion, especially advice, or you could say, to people who want to try out volunteering, especially in how
Hmm.
American Spaces gives out
Yeah.
a lot of opportunities. What's
Mm-hmm.
your main advice?
I think my main advice is to be two things. One, be open to new perspectives. And you'll get this as you not only as you grow up, because that makes me sound like super old, but like as you progress in every stage of your life, you're going to realize that so much of success in your career isn't based on the knowledge that you have, the degree that you have. I may realize I'm sitting in a university, but I mean that matters for you right now, but like but the longer you spend away from that as your life goes on, no one's going to remember your GPA. I can be honest with you. No one's going to remember your GPA. No one's going to remember what you studied. No one's going to remember. No one's going to ask you, hey, give me the international relations theory that you learned in your course in sophomore year. It's important. Don't get me wrong.
Of course, we
Like,
need to know it.
listen,
We need to
university, forgive me.
know.
But I'm just saying that like, at the end of the day, it's what's going to get you farther in your career is your ability to persuade people, your ability to relate to other people, your ability to empathize. You've heard the word empathy, right? These are skills that are going to get you more success in your career than any degree, than any sort of like technical skill that you have. So, tying that back to volunteering actually brings you full circle, right? Because volunteering, you don't, I mean, people tend to think that volunteering, you don't have any skills to bring. But it's kind of interesting, right? Because you're volunteering, you're coming humbly to an opportunity by saying, I don't have any skills to bring. So
Of course.
give me these experiences. And in fact, that's the way you should treat your career. So it's kind of funny, right? Like volunteering and career
It's
success,
so hand in hand
they're
together.
connected,
Yes.
right? And I can see that now at the age that I am and all the experiences that I have, that really what makes me successful in my career, and you can ask my colleagues, maybe they'll say otherwise, that but I think what makes me successful is those human skills that I had in
Yes.
volunteering. Does that make sense?
It makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, we all get it. Especially in my time during
Yeah.
volunteering, social skills, especially,
Mm-hmm.
is very important.
Mm-hmm.
How we connect to each other on
Yes.
a very human
Yes.
level. So, before we end this, Anup,
Yes.
of course, we have an audience here.
Yes, of course.
We would like to give a very good opportunity for one person to give one question to Mr. Anup himself while he's here. So please, if you have any questions, or you just want to know something from about volunteering or about, well, Anup's personal life,
Oh
maybe,
my gosh.
please
Okay.
just raise your
It's not
hand.
that expensive, believe me, but
Oh,
yeah.
please just raise your hand, and well, we will give you the opportunity. People here can be a bit nervous,
That's fine. That's
especially
fine.
during, of
Sure.
course.
Of course. Yes.
I will introduce myself. My name
Uh-huh.
is Stefan, and I'm actually international relations graduate.
Uh-huh.
And I could relate to everything that you said.
That's wonderful.
Like
Thank you.
everyone will forget our GPA and our stuff. But the thing is, I want to ask you about volunteering. It's really interesting in the way your opinion really describe like how is volunteering, how is your experience in
Mm-hmm.
volunteering. So my question is that do you think that in volunteering, people can change to someone new? Like for example, I'm referring to someone introvert. For example,
Mm-hmm.
they're very tall, but for some reason they have passion to communicate
Yeah.
with people.
Yeah.
So do you think that they will change to another, or they keep being themselves as an introverted, but they just, like sometimes like volunteer needs to talk to people, like
Right.
socialize with
Right.
others. So what do you
Right.
think about it?
That's a great question. And what I'll say is, from my own personal experiences, when I was your age and, starting out, I was very much an extrovert, right? I was very extroverted. I still come off that way, but this is the interesting thing, right? Like I was so much more extroverted back then. And I knew that was like sort of the beginning for me to be like, I need to be in a people to people job, right? I need to be
Interacting
like
with
this
each
is my
other.
thing and this is what I love about diplomacy, right? So it kind of worked out. But I've learned as I've gotten older and as my career has progressed that I do have more of an introverted side, right? And so now the way I balance it is, my career calls for a lot of extroversion, right? Like being a diplomat, like I have to be comfortable talking in front of people. I have to be comfortable persuading other people. I have to, because that's my job, right? So even though my comfort zone may have changed, I know that that's what I have to do for my job. And then when I'm outside of my job, I revert back to my introversion and put on the Netflix, sit at home, and that kind of thing, right? So you'll find every job, every volunteering opportunity, every job, you'll find that you're going to change because you're going to calibrate what sides of you the job demands versus like how in your personal life you're going to recharge, right? It's all about recharging, right? So we can have one more question too. That's fine.
One more question.
Sure. Why
Please
not?
raise your hand.
You all waited for so long.
Volunteering is a great opportunity for us to learn.
Volunteer yourself for a question.
Exactly.
There we go.
That's what I was about to say.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to take that
No,
away from
perfectly
you.
fine. You
Yeah.
worded it better, much better than me. Please volunteer yourself to a question.
It can be anything. It doesn't even have to be. Use this as an opportunity to kind of confront your fear of public speaking. Sure, go ahead. Nice to meet you. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's wow. There's no right or wrong answer to this question, and so I can only answer it from my personal experience to hopefully illuminate for you. I think, the depression, any change is hard, right? So like college, university is a time where you have everyone you care about, well, most of everyone you care about here, right? Like you see them every day and you get to you're at an enormous period of change in your life in a concentrated way. So like I get it. Like university, I always look back to my university years and I think, oh my gosh, like that what an amazing time. But view it this way and take my word for it. Many years from now, you're gonna look back at this period and think it may seem like it's the greatest to you now, but it's going to be your life is going to it's going to be one of your greatest periods in your life. So when I look back, right, and at the same point as when I was graduating college, and I was like, oh my God, I'm entering the real world, and I don't know what to do or whatever. You know, life works out. And the other thing I'm going to say is don't listen. Okay, so this is going to be hard. This is going to be me as an American. This is going to be a cultural bridge here because what I'm going to say now is very American, and I get that in Indonesian culture it's a different thing. So what I'm going to say, what I did was I did not listen to what my parents thought was going to be good for me, right? Because if I listened to my parents who love me and I love them, but I would be a doctor and I would be miserable, right? So I use that as an example. I'm not saying, okay, parents, please forgive me. I'm not saying rebel against your parents, but only you know what's right for you. And that's what I'm saying, because I know friends now who are years into their career who are not doing things that they're passionate about. And the number one thing they tell me about why they ended up where they did was because they're like, oh well, I listened to this person, or oh, I did what was right for me at the time, but now it's not my path. So I knew that that was never going to be okay for me. I don't want to regret. I don't want to live a life of regrets, right? And a career included, right? Career is so important. It's like there's your personal life and then there's your career, right? It gives you a sense of meaning and purpose. Why would I want to sacrifice that passion, right? So what I say is, and it's a little harder for you because I think because in Asian cultures, and I knew this because I grew up in an Indian house, right? I get it. Like it can be very like, you do this and you do this, but like I say to you, always best what your passion is and really try and find that, because otherwise if you let other people dictate how you're going to like take your career, I guarantee you it's you're years down the road, you're going to be like, why did I do whatever, right? So I know that that's hard, but that's from my experience. I learned, taking the bold move, and people are going to say what they say, right? At every turn, right? You're always going to have people that are going to say, oh God, you're crazy, what are you doing that for? Or like, really, you're going to make money doing that? Go ahead, do it. You know what? Because only you know what that journey is. Easier said than done, but
Well,
yes.
that's
Oh,
sorry.
yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Considering the time that we have is not much left, we would like to once again thank Mr. Anu for being here. It's been a great opportunity,
you.
and we're very happy to welcome you here. And once again, thank you for the
Likewise.
production team and Mr. Anu especially. And well, that's all from us. Goodbye, and see you next time.
Bye.